Hi everyone, this is Xavier, and today I'm going to show you how to do speed reading with this great book from Dale Carnegie. So there are two things I'm going to share on this video. The first one is intentional reading, or how to go through a book and get the maximum out of it, high retention rate. And the second one are simple techniques for increasing speed reading as you progress through practice. So the first one is about going through a book rapidly so that you get the nuggets of information and of knowledge that you can apply straight away. So first of all, you have to understand how a book is written. Obviously, there's an introduction, there's the content, and then there's a conclusion. So conclusion, you can start already with the end and understand what the author has been trying to tell you and what that author went through and explained to you. The introduction is mostly about the why and what you're going to go through throughout the book. Very good to start with that is actually to go from the back of the book and understand what the book is about and what bullet points usually are displayed there and telling you what you're going to go through already succinctly. The introduction is, for me, not that important. I don't really care why the person has written the book. What I'm really interested in is about the content and how I can apply this to my life. So the table of content usually gives you a very good understanding of what you're going to go through throughout the book. Some of the table contents in some of the books are not only bullet points. They already have a bit of information about what you're going to learn and how you're going to apply it. For instance, in here about effective speaking. The interesting thing is that when you jump to the end of the book, this book specifically doesn't have any conclusions. There is actually a conclusion at the end of each chapter. Now, the interesting thing is that when you start flipping through the book to understand how the book itself is constructed, you will see that, well, in this book specifically, there is at the end of each chapter a summary of the paragraphs and titles, subtitles of each chapter. So, for example, here, the part 2 is divided into 3 chapters, 4, 5, and 6, and in each of these chapters you will see actually all the bullet points that have been mentioned. Interestingly enough, these bullet points are exactly the same as in the table of content. So you're reading it twice basically. Now we're chunking it down. So the book has a beginning, a content, and an end. Each part has a beginning, a content, and an end, and each chapter has a beginning, a content, and an end. So if you break it down like this, you will also realize that you don't have to read every single page of the book to get the information. The content in general is a lot of fluff, I would say, just to generalize and not to discredit any author, and myself published author. But what you have to understand is that the publishers spend a lot of money in printing books, right? So printing a book that has only 5 pages of bullet points for the message that the author wants to convey to the reader is not going to be very profitable for publishing companies or printing companies. So there's a lot of information that is not necessarily relevant to the learning. I'm not saying not relevant to the topic, it is relevant, but not to the learning of the message that the author wants to convey. So you can already cut down to all the content. Now, of course, if you're interested in the drama, in the information on how and what life situation the author went through, well, good for you, but you'll end up reading a 200-page book like this into weeks. The bullet points of each of the chapters are actually usually formed into a phrase, gives you already the important information for you to extract from the book and to start applying as soon as you do. So a 200-page book like this can be summarized into the 60 bullet points that are already described in here. Now, if there is one specific chapters that are very interesting to you and that you would like to have even more information, then in each chapter you have, as I said, the introduction, the content, and the conclusion. You can just skip again the content part and go straight to the first paragraph of the chapter and the last paragraph of each chapter, just before the next part. And that will give you already what this is about and what is the conclusion. You can do that and repeat it for every chapter that you're interested in. The advantage of doing that is that, first of all, you already have an intention. You're already setting the tone of why you want to read this book and what you're going to get through that book. You have the anticipation, you already know what you're going to go through, and you already have, because you went through the back already, what is interesting for you and what is the purpose of you reading this book. Then, by reading a 200-page book again like this and extracting only the information that you want to get, you will have extracted a dozen points that you can straight away apply. So I ask you this: when you read a 200-page book, right, over a couple of weeks, how many points do you remember and how many points can you apply? By the end of 2 weeks, you've already forgotten what you read on the first half of the book, right? But going through a process like this, you can already take notes, you can highlight, you can bookmark or earmark anything on the book and refer to very easily. But going through that process of bullet points and taking out all the information you want to apply, instead of 2 or 3 points that you might apply 2 weeks later, you can apply on the same day 5 and 5 again tomorrow and 5 again the day after on the same book. After 3 days, you can already apply 15 points or nuggets of knowledge that you've extracted from here and apply that, because knowledge is not power, but knowledge applied is power. Now, second part of this video is about speed reading itself. So speed reading, for some people who want to go every single word and not necessarily apply anything, well, I suggest read fiction for that. But you have different ways of doing that. I will do that on the second part of this video.